Welcome back. How are we doing? We are so back. Welcome back to the pod. NBA playoffs are here. The play-in tournaments just happened. Crazy, crazy games. First round starts today. Super excited. But before we start into these predictions for these first round playoffs, we have to understand what happened in the play-in tournament. For the start with the Eastern Conference, because that's what I somewhat expected. I expected Philadelphia to end up in seventh. I expected Miami to end up in eighth, but with the injury to Jimmy Butler, really throws a hamper to what I expected to happen between Boston and Miami. But we'll get into that in a bit. Out west, expected the Los Angeles Lakers to play the Pelicans, to beat the Pelicans, but did not expect it to be that close. Zion finally damn near had his coming out party, but fortunately, due to injuries, went out swinging with 40. Don't know his crowded mystery, how he's gonna respond. Hopefully he's not out for too long. Could be 2 to 4 weeks. I think the Pelicans might be out without Zion for a while. Perhaps this whole series against the Thunder. And then fully did not expect Sacramento to upset Golden State. I thought Golden State had their issues all in line, solved post All-Star break. They were rebounding better, not turning the ball over as much. But against Sacramento, could not grab a rebound, kept turning the ball over. Klay Thompson was a no-show, played awful. Sacramento's role players stepped up. Ellis, Keegan Murray, in the absence of Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, I thought Golden State was gonna win that game, but their role players stepped up. But then those role players did not show up against the Pelicans. And Brandon Ingram, who finally seems back in rhythm since his injury, played well. CJ McCollum played well. Trey Murphy shot the ball extremely well. And, of course, no one is going to be a good defensive team. But, all right, let's get right into it. Let's make these picks. So let's start with the Western Conference between the Oklahoma City Thunder and New Orleans Pelicans. All right. Let's just put this out there. The disrespect for the Oklahoma City Thunder needs to stop. The Thunder are a very good team. We have Perkins. Damn near might pick the Pelicans over the Thunder without Zion Williamson, which is ridiculous. Shannon Sharpe saying the Thunder are the weakest one seed he's ever seen. This is like pretending that J-Dub has not been amazing this year. Chet Holmgren has not shown why he was competing with Wemby to start the year for Rookie of the Year. Like SGA isn't an MVP candidate this season. My MVP, but I'm not gonna get mad at Jokic or Luka. But SGA is a damn good player. This Thunder team is damn good. And especially against this side of the bracket that's really not going to give them that many issues with their size. You added Gordon Hayward to add veteran leadership and shooting. Let's see what Josh Giddey can do in these playoffs. The Thunder are a really good team, especially with the Pelicans missing Zion. Thunder on 5. Maybe they had Zion, it would be a closer series because let me say this, there are no bad teams in these playoffs from either conference. In my opinion, the Western Conference went 10 teams deep this season of being good teams, and the East go 1 through 8. But without Zion, especially, the Thunder are going to win this game in 5 games. The Thunder are going to make a good playoff run. This is so disrespectful to so many levels on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Clippers and Mavericks. Speaking of injuries, here we go again. Kawhi Leonard. I had the Clippers when I first saw this matchup, but Kawhi Leonard out here accepting invitations to the Olympics, but we still don't know an answer if he's going to be ready for Game 1. They are hoping he's ready for Game 1. Yeah, if there's no Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers are not winning this. And the Clippers are very much danger. If they go home and Paul George has the ability to become a free agent, I don't know how that goes well for the Clippers, but I'm assuming Kawhi, because of course not feeling at least 90%, he's not going to go out there. That's what I've learned throughout his career. So with that being said, I feel like I have to go the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks have been playing extremely well. Luke, this is the best version of Luka I've ever seen. gives effort on the defensive end, creates for others, is shooting the ball extremely well from beyond the arc this year. This is the Luka that I thought I'd be getting earlier in his career, but in better shape, gives a damn about defense, shooting the ball, creates for others. I think the addition of Kyrie Irving, who's been amazing this year, has been very important for the Mavericks. And then the trade acquisitions of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford really shapes this team well. You have Lively off the bench, Tim Hardaway Jr. I think the Dallas Mavericks end up taking this. I think this is a coin flip. I think Kawhi may end up coming back towards the end of the series, but without knowing, I think the Dallas Mavericks gets this series. Again, if Kawhi was healthy, if I knew Kawhi was healthy, I'd go with the Clippers. But I just don't know with Kawhi. Minnesota. This series is very interesting to me. You have there's not a lot of teams left in the NBA that go this duo big. The Minnesota Timberwolves are one of them with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. You have McDaniels for the defensive end, whoever you want to put him, whether it be KD or Booker's. Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards Cup. I expect him to be arguably the best player in this series. I don't trust Phoenix at all. Being consistent, the trio of Bradley Beal, Booker, and Kevin Durant never really was out there consistently. I think Nurkic may end up getting played off the floor, but the same thing can be said about one of the two bigs from Minnesota. I just don't trust the Phoenix Suns depth at all. They've been inconsistent all year. I have Minnesota taking this series. I think this is also going to be a very close series. I think all these series, for the most part, are going to be good. I have the Timberwolves in 7 games. I think when it comes to a game 7 in the home court of Minnesota, that's going to be Ant's time to shine and show the NBA world that he's ready to take that next step. The Lakers and the Nuggets. So I think the Nuggets are very capable being this year. They lost Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, leadership in that locker room over the summer. The starting five is still intact, arguably the best starting five in basketball, considering the fit that goes well between Jamal Murray and Jokic's pick and roll. The ability of Aaron Gordon to, even if you give him space, will find the holes to crash and take passes from Jokic, Sniper, and Michael Porter Jr. and KCP. Good defenders 1 through 4. Jokic is a solid paint protector. Won't be a shot blocker, but he can protect the paint. He with his size. I do think the Nuggets. It's not going to be a sweep this year. I don't think. I don't think the Nuggets are as good as they were last year. But I still think the Nuggets take this in 6 games. And now let's just finish out the West before we move on to the Eastern Conference. Between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks, again, disrespect for the Oklahoma City Thunder needs to stop. The SGA is that man. And as a team, I like the Oklahoma City Thunder team. I understand that Luka might probably most likely be the best player on the floor. Kyrie is very clutch. But the Thunder have been the 1 seed throughout the year for a reason. And we have to respect that. And I do believe the Thunder do end up beating the Mavericks here. I think defensively, again, the size issues that people believe the Thunder won't have, the Dallas Mavericks can't really exploit that in this series either. They, other than Daniel Gafford and Lively, they're really not that big. So Holmgren should be able to be the best big in this series, even though he's thin. And the rebounding issues, it's going to be a team effort. The Thunder are able to do that. I believe they're good enough defensively just to be able to keep up with the Mavericks guards. You're not going to stop them. Luka and Kyrie will be able to get theirs. But if you're able to just sustain that and contain the role players that the Mavericks have, then I think the Thunder we would take. Again, I think it's going to be another great series. Thunder in 7. And then we go to the other side of the bracket, the Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. I think here where Phoenix had the ability to take advantage of have ability to play off one of the two bigs, I don't think the the Denver Nuggets can do that. The Denver Nuggets have come out and said last season the Timberwolves were the hardest challenge for them in the first round. And I think Aaron Gordon does not have the ability to play Cat off the floor because I think you leave Gobert on Jokic. But I think the Denver Nuggets go down here. I think Minnesota is going to be dangerous enough to be able to go out there with and then have Mike Conley to be able to keep the team, because Denver Nuggets are going to go on the run. They're always going to go on the runs, but I trust a guy like Mike Conley to keep the team settled down. And if Ant is able to stay in control and not spur out, try to do too much, start turning the ball over, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves end up going to the Western Conference Finals in 7. I think we're gonna end up with a Minnesota Timberwolves Western Conference Finals, which is very surprising. I had the Clippers. You know, uh, I no, 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 no. I think I am gonna go Clippers. I think Paul George. I think Paul George, James Harden not having that pressure, and I think the Clippers deepness. They have more depth in the Dallas Mavericks. I like Norman Powell, Russell Westbrook off the bench. I think Kawhi. I think if the Clippers are able to just steal one of the first 2 games and not go down 0-2, that they'll be fine. Like Kawhi should be back by at least game 3. I'm gonna take the Clippers. No, I'm gonna take the Clippers. I'm gonna go back. That's gonna be the one series I go back on. I went back and forth. I think the Clippers got it. I do and think the Clippers got it. Again, there's no bad teams in this conference, 1 through 8. Um, but and then between the Clippers and the Thunder, I think I also go Clippers in 7 games. Yeah, the Los Angeles Clippers. Yeah, I have to take it back. The Los Angeles Clippers are too deep. I think this is their year. James Harden, I just expect James Harden to play better without having all that pressure on him. In Houston, he was the number 1 option. Struggled a bit at times in the playoffs. Same thing with Philadelphia last year. Being the 2 option, but here he's gonna be the 3rd option behind Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And I think the Clippers should be deep enough, whether it be Terrence Mann. There are always going to be certain guys that play well in the playoffs at different times, and I think the Clippers have that. And we end up with the Clippers Timberwolves conference finals. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder make it to the conference finals. I think the Thunder are a very good team. But I think also considering that this is the Thunder's first time make it to the playoffs, they're going to be I don't want to say the lights are going to be too bright for the Thunder, but it's just a different environment of understanding how to experience this for the first time. And with Chet also being a rookie, being able to create certain matchups, I think the Clippers will be able to do that very well. A lot of perimeter players that the Clippers are going to have the ability to create their own shot. So I'm going to leave it at the Western Conference Finals and move on to the Eastern Conference, where we're going to start with the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, with Jimmy Butler being out, I think the Celtics just steamroll this series. With Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat could have made it interesting, but Bam Adebayo just isn't aggressive enough at all for the majority of his games. Tyler Hero can only do so much by himself if Bam isn't going to be aggressive, and the Celtics just again have no weaknesses. They have all 5 of their stars can shoot. Derek White, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Jrue Holiday, all strong defenders. Then you have Payton Pritchard, who's been a lot better this season, along with Al Horford. They have good enough depth in the playoffs, and I just don't think the Miami Heat are going to present them any issues because of injuries. I think, regardless of what happened last year or past history, there's just not enough that the Miami Heat could offer. And hopefully this offseason is where the Heat finally decide to take the regular season series and try to build a team that won't be in the play-in tournament every damn year. And then the Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think this series is going to be very fun. All bias aside, Orlando's defense has been the top 3 all year long. Paolo Banchero has been great. Franz, I think this series ends up falling on Franz Wagner's shooting ability, who has not been shooting the ball well. Around 29% from beyond the arc. I think Cleveland's size is going to be tested throughout this whole year. The Cavaliers' best stretch of the season has been when either Mobley or Allen have not been playing. Both their 2 bigs have not been able to play well. If Orlando's able to take one of those bigs out of the game, whether it be Wendell Carter having the ability to shoot from 3 and having to force JP Bickerstaff, who has shown the willingness to take out one of their 2 bigs at a time. And especially with not knowing how Donovan Mitchell is going to be to start the series, I trust Orlando's defense in a 7th game. I think the series does go 7. I just trust Orlando's defense in a game 7, where defense shows up more, and it's usually always a lower scoring game in a game 7, and I just trust Orlando's defense going forward from there. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this moment ends up being too big for a very young Magic team outside of Gary Harris, Joe Ingles, Jonathan Isaac for 5 games, and Markelle Fultz for 5 games, who might not even see the floor. May be too much. But I do believe this is going to be a long series, a flip a coin series. I just, Magic in 7. Bucks and Pacers. Giannis, not going to be there for game 1. Even if he was there, I might go Indiana, but considering Giannis not even going to be there, it doesn't have to do with specifically with the roster. It's just the moment Doc Rivers got there, their offense has not been that much better. The defense got a lot worse. Dame and Giannis never got that 2-man game ever going. I think this week off has been great for Tyrese Halliburton. And I Pacers in 6. It's the Doc Rivers hiring was idiotic to be nice. I don't understand why they fired Adrian Griffin. Their offense was very good. You needed time to figure it out. You fired a rookie coach, and since Doc Rivers, you're damn near a 500 team. Nothing in this series gives me confidence about the Bucks that they could beat the Pacers. The Pacers have been a lot better defensively, going from a historically bad team to at least a decent team defensively when adding Pascal Siakam. And I think we've seen how Giannis looked when he's not 100% in the playoffs. Halliburton's going to be the best player on the floor. Dame has not been good this year either. Again, playoff Dame might be different, but of what I've seen this season, that all these stands in the East have been close. Just having the image of 3-6 doesn't concern me. I just have the Pacers to 6 games. The Pacers offense is going to be elite. The Bucks defense has not been good. Doc Rivers is not the best. Is not the better coach in this series, considering where Carlisle's on the other side of the bench. I think the Pacers take this in 6 games. Knicks and 76ers. This series is going to be very good. This series is going 7 games. Now, Joel Embiid is not 100%. He is going to play. He is not 100%. And that's where it does get very, very interesting for me. I think the best way to beat the 76ers team right now is to play Embiid off the floor because he is hobbled. And to do that, I think the best way, in my opinion, is to play a fast-paced game. But the New York Knicks do not play a fast-paced game. They like to slow it down, grind it out on defense, play a slow-paced game. And I think that's going to go to the 76ers' advantage, especially without Julius Randle. I think offensively, they're not going to have enough to beat the 76ers. I trust the Tyrese Maxey, Nick Batum to hit clutch shots. Who knows what version of Tobias Harris is going to show up. Kelly Oubre has been amazing for Philadelphia this year. But in New York, let's see what OJ Anunoby could do on Tyrese Maxey. What version of Josh Hart ends up showing up. Josh Hart always leaves it all on the floor. but never really know if he's going to be looking to shoot from a game to a game. Sometimes he'll shoot and give you 25. Sometimes he'll go 2 for 4. He's not really looking at the rim. If the Knicks want a chance to win this series, which they will have a chance, it's going to be if their role players are willing to shoot, and Josh Hart and a different Shinzo Anunoby. But I do think the 76ers take this in 7 games. All right, I guess we don't have a choice. We're coming back to the West. The Clippers and the Timberwolves, I think this is going to be another series that has the advantage to have the chance to take one of this potential series is going to be whether who breaks first. Tyronn Lue is an amazing coach. It's whether or not the Timberwolves end up breaking and have to take off one of Gobert or Cat off the floor because the Clippers are going to go small, or do you believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves, bigs and size, are going to overwhelm the Clippers on rebounding, on the defensive end? It comes down to that. Again, I just think in this series specifically, having two elite perimeter players that have depth. This is why I didn't trust the Phoenix Suns because of the depth. And the Denver Nuggets did not have two elite perimeter players that could create their own shot. Michael Porter Jr. is a great shooter. Jamal Murray, in my opinion, is that type of player on the perimeter. I don't think that they don't have a level of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I think James Harden can still get to the rim when he wants to, not as consistently as he could before, but when it matters, I think James Harden has the ability still to get to the rim. It's going to be another great. This Western Conference series are all going to be good. Moving out of the first round, I don't think they're ever going to be a 4 or 5. It's going to be a 6 or 7. If you're the Clippers, if the Clippers are going to, because I do believe the Clippers, I think the Clippers take it in 6. You do not want to go to a game 7 in Minnesota. You do not want to. And I think this is the year the Clippers finally make it through to the NBA Finals. It should be very good. Anything could happen. The Denver Nuggets could very well be back here. Oklahoma City could be back in the finals. Minnesota can make their debut. These playoffs have been the best playoffs 1 through 8 in both conferences in a long time because there is no bad team near the bottom. Like anything could happen. These seedings have been so close that I'm not out here just like wondering what these are all like what you're picking at, like a needle in a haystack of what you're trying to determine which team could end up topping another team. And I just think the Clippers, because having the perimeter play of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and James Harden at that, so self-create and create for others might be too much for Minnesota. And the ability to force Minnesota to take Gobert or Cat off the floor going to be too much for the Timberwolves to handle. But at that point, that's when Minnesota's able to go to the offseason and find that 4-man that can, if need be, if you still want to start Gobert Cat, which is fine, but feel confident enough to bring that your 6-man off the bench and be able to produce enough offensively and still be able to guard a small 4, which I think is Minnesota's final piece before they get to the promised land of the NBA Finals. Back to the semifinals out in the Eastern Conference. Boston. I see no holes in Boston game. I think there's holes throughout the Eastern Conference that the Boston Celtics should be able to take advantage of. Again, no holes defensively nor offensively. I think the Magic at that point, I don't trust their shooting enough to beat the Boston Celtics. I think Franz and Paulo just need more experience. And that could be said also with Jalen Suggs. See how much Jonathan Isaac minutes-wise is able to give you in this series. The Magic have played them well, but I think Boston is going to be too much. Again, it's going to be if this is the outcome for the Magic season, it's going to be an overwhelming success. Move into the offseason, see what you could do to take that next step as a team. But the Magic have done an amazing job this year of proving everyone wrong. Everyone had them penciled in as a damn play-in team. Now look at them. Even the ability or opportunity to go to the second round is amazing. Clippers and Pacers and 76ers. The Indiana Pacers, again, this is where they have the ability to play fast and force Embiid off the floor if this was the first round. The beauty of the first round is that Embiid's going to have weird games in between games where he's going to have 3 to 4 days off. And because he wasn't really getting played in a fast pace in the first round series against the New York Knicks, I think Embiid's going to be in a bit better shape, a little bit more healthier. And this 76ers team is a good defensive team. This 76ers team has more offensive weapons. I think this has been a great season for the Indiana Pacers. But consider at the end, Anthony Melton, who may be back for this series, Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, perimeter players. This Pacers team defensively at this point is going to start showing its weaknesses. And I, at this point, have the 76ers in 6 games. The Pacers are going to fight. They're talented enough. But I still believe that whether the 76ers or the New York Knicks win in the first round, I believe that team ends up going to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I believe in this series will be the 76ers. But I still believe the Boston Celtics, Joel Embiid is not going to be able to guard the perimeter. And Tobias Harris, I don't think he's going to be good enough offensively. Tyrese Maxey is going to be right there next to Embiid. But Tobias Harris has not been good enough in recent years as a third star that you can count on consistently when you need him to explode for an offensive game. He's not that. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's that consistent guy in your starting unit, your 4 or your option 5 when you look at him, he's shot the ball pretty well, contains his man as a defender. He's not a bad defender, but as someone you can count on to be your second or third option, I just don't believe he's that. And the Boston Celtics have that 1 through 5. I think this is going to be the one series that the Celtics don't really take in 4 or 5 games. And I do believe this series goes 6. But I do believe we end up with the Clippers-Celtics series. Again, this could be Denver. This could be Minnesota. This could be Oklahoma City. But I do believe this is going to be a very, very good series. A lot of perimeter play, a lot of switchability, 1 through 5 for the Clippers as well. Zubac is going to start on Porzingis. Porzingis has the height advantage to post up, force Zubac onto the perimeter. But same could be said, Tez Porzingis' ability to guard the perimeter, not necessarily as a shot blocker, because if you switch him out and get the switch with Paul George, for example, and have Porzingis out of the paint, because you can't leave Paul George open, and then swing the ball over to Kawhi Leonard and be able to attack the paint, or James Harden or Terrence Mann or Westbrook, whoever that may be, and have Porzingis outside of the perimeter, that's going to where the Clippers have a chance to win in this series. But ultimately, I think this is the year for the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum has been disrespected for a very long time, and I don't understand why. He isn't only around 25, 26. And these greats haven't really won until 28 years old, i.e. Jordan, LeBron. But Durant as well hasn't really won any, didn't get to that top of the mountain until 28. So disrespect on the hatred towards Tatum has been weird. But I think this is a year the Boston Celtics do win it. Again, I see this going 6 Boston Celtics in 6. I think the Celtics end up winning it all this season. But depending on the matchup that comes out of the West, could make this series interesting. I just think the Clippers end up coming out of the West, and could be Denver. Denver may give the Celtics issues because of their size, but in their specific series, I think the Celtics win it. But that's going to wrap it up. Let me know what you guys think below. Who's coming out of the East? Who's coming out of the West? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.